You're listening to Girls with Grafts, a burn community podcast created by Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors, a leading nonprofit dedicated to supporting the burn community. In this podcast, we'll talk with burn survivors, share resources to help with supporting and improving burn recovery, and discuss how to prevent burn injuries. Here are your hosts, burn survivors and Phoenix Society's marketing team, Amber Wilcox and Rachel Kudlak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Girls with Grafts. I am Rachel Kudlak. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and today, unfortunately, I will not be joined by my lovely co-host, Amber Wilcox. But as always, we have an amazing guest lined up today. I guess this isn't our first, but it is one of the few international global podcasts that we're going on. So I'm very excited to have on today's guest. Before I introduce her, I do want to give a quick shout out to today's partner. And today's podcast is powered by the National Fire Protection Association. NFPA is a nonprofit that seeks to save lives and reduce loss with information, knowledge, and passion. And you can learn more about fire safety and explore all of their educational resources by visiting nfpa.org. And today I'm very excited to welcome on a burn survivor. A few years ago, Ariadna Bernal's life changed completely after an explosion in her home that was caused by a gas buildup, which left her with severe burns on over 90% of her body. It was a long and painful journey, but the unconditional support of her family and access to psychological care were key in helping her heal both physically and emotionally. Over time, she discovered the power of community by connecting with other burn survivors. Through a social worker at the hospital, she was introduced to a support network and given the opportunity to become a Phoenix SOAR Peer Supporter. Since then, she's been actively involved, offering support through empathy and lived experience while accompanying others on their path to recovery. Ariadna is passionate about reading, music, painting on canvas, and spending time with family and friends. She's currently pursuing a degree in psychology with the goal of specializing in the clinical field. Her biggest dream is to one day work at Shriners Hospital for Children, where she is also a patient, so she can support children and teenagers who, like her, have faced the impact of a burn injury. So thank you so much, Ariadna, for joining me, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Well, I know I just gave a very quick overview of your bio, and I know a little bit about your burn injury, but do you mind just sharing with our listeners a little bit more about your injury and your journey as a burn survivor?
Yeah, of course. Well, my accident happened almost 8 years ago. It was on August 5th, 2018. I was 14 years old. I'm 21. I was 14 years old at that time, and there was a gas leak in my house that I didn't know about. And well, it lasted a really long time, many hours to be honest. The next morning, my uncle arrived at my home, and I went to open the door for him. And when I came back to my home, I tried to cook. I was like, okay, I'm gonna prepare my breakfast. And when I turned on the stove, it all exploded. And well, I received second, third, and fourth degree burns on 90% of my body. And I was taken to a general hospital here in Mexicali. I'm from Mexico. And they weren't prepared to handle a case like mine. So I had to be transferred to Sacramento, to Shriners. And I was in a medically induced coma for almost 3 months, 5 months in the ICU. And well, I went through so many surgeries, therapy, including my amputation of my left leg. And yeah, it was really tough. But yeah.
Thanks for sharing all of that with us. You know, I think I've shared this with you before. I'm also a Shriners kid. I was treated at the Boston location. And I know how incredible their staff can be and just supportive and, very like family focused. So I know I mentioned that in your bio, but can you just tell us a little bit more about, especially coming from Mexico, how that was with your family who were so far away and weren't, I actually don't know like who was able to come visit you at the hospital or what that experience was like.
Well, it was really, really difficult because I missed all my family. My sister, she was 7 years old at the time, and I was missing my grandma, my uncle. It was really hard. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom, she doesn't speak English, so it was really difficult for her too. But yeah, um, my aunt visited me when I was in the ICU, and so did my sister. My family and friends sent me letters,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing those letters really helped me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling their support, and they gave me the motivation that I needed to keep going. It was really tough, but um, they were like my strength.
Mm-hmm.
Also, having my mom with me all the time, she was really strong for me. I remember I was really depressed because of my amputation, and I remember she told me like, I would rather to have you alive without a leg than have you dead with both of your legs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made me realize the reality of the situation and that I needed that amputation to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
And staying alive was something I really wanted. I was really, really scared, but I had to accept it. It was really hard to accept, but that made me realize at the same time that I was really strong, stronger, stronger than I thought I was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I think many in our community can relate to that feeling of, you realize how strong you can really be. And, there are obviously very difficult moments, and sometimes you take a few steps forward and then you take a few steps back, and it is a roller coaster of healing. But you really, when you do have those moments of self-reflection, you do realize, how strong of a person you are. Um, I would love to kind of talk a little bit more too about, in losing your leg and that being amputated, because I know that's something that survivors, some, that's definitely part of their journey. And obviously, that's a very big hurdle to overcome, both mentally and physically. So, do you mind just telling us a little bit more about, well, I know you said your mom was a big part of finding strength, but how you overcame that and came to terms with the amputation?
Well, I remember I was really sad. I was really mad at the same time. I used to be a bullying victim, and
Mm,
I remember I was like, how would people treat me now? I lost my leg, all my body changed. What is going to happen after that?
mhm,
And yeah, I remember I was really sad. I was mad at my mom because I was like, why did you sign those papers?
mhm,
But yeah, my mom told me like, I wanted you alive and
mhm,
I wanted you to be with me. So I signed those papers. You can be mad at me. That's completely valid. But I did what I had to do. And
mhm,
I was like, okay, okay. So I talked to the psychologist, with my grandma on the phone, with my mom, with my aunt, with my sister. She was just like a kid, but she was like, "Oh, you'll be okay, you'll be fine. We'll find a way to keep going." Yeah, that really
mm,
helped me. I was really sad. I was really, really mad, but I had to accept it, and I accepted it, and I'm okay right now. Yeah.
mhm. No, I totally get that, and I'm sure, you may have moments now, at least I know I do sometimes when you are having a tough day with recovery, it's like, "Well, why me? Like, why did this happen to me?" And I'm sure especially you maybe sometimes do feel like, "Why did my mom sign those papers?" Even though you are years out and you have come to terms with it, but I'm sure you can struggle with that at times. At least I know I do in a similar sense. Um, so, what advice or tips would you give to survivors who, especially those who are maybe early on in their recovery and dealing, and struggling with an amputation? And what advice would you want to give to them?
Tough question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say that I know that this journey is really, really hard. It's very painful, and dealing with the itching, the pain, the guilt, sadness, depression, anxiety. Um, it's really tough, but I want to show them that there is life after a burn injury.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we are new survivors, when we are at the beginning of this recovery process, we often think that it's the end of the world. So I want to show them and teach them that there's life after a brain injury, and it's really hard, but it's beautiful because you can make your
Mm-hmm.
own life. You can study, you can work, you can hang out with friends, you can have a couple, you can do whatever you want. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
show them that. It's really difficult to see in this moment, but yeah, it is possible.
Mm-hmm. And do you have anything that we often have a lot of parents and caregivers listen to our show? And I'm wondering if you have anything you'd want, other parents to know. You know, Obviously it seems like you and your mom have such a great bond, and but I'm sure there were very tough days and very angry days, and that's something other parents and caregivers struggle with. So I'm just wondering if you have anything you'd want our parent listeners to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, since I was in a medically induced coma for 3 months, I don't remember that much. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I remember so much.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember is that my mom is the person who supported me the most. The one who was always with me. She still is there for me. Um, and she was in a really tough moment with the grief of my accident and missing my family, my sister. She was 7 years old. Um, but yeah, supporting the survivor is like the key because they feel that they're not alone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my mom and I used to paint. That's why I love to paint right now.
Mm-hmm.
We used to paint and sing and watching movies, and oh my God, that's a really beautiful moment. And I remember I was really happy. I was struggling with so many um, things, itching, the pain, the grief, and missing my family. But I was with my mom painting, and I was
Mm-hmm.
singing with her and dancing and hugging her, talking to her. I think that's the key.
Mm-hmm.
We as the
Definitely.
survivors, we need to feel and to see their support. I know it's
Mm-hmm.
hard, but we need to see that and to feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate a lot to that because I had, such an amazing family support as well, which I know not all survivors have, but, whether it's family or close friends or community, whoever it may be, finding that, like, it could be a parent, could be a friend, could be a partner, but having someone that you can, like, really feel like you said, like that you're not alone, having their support, and even like you said, just kind of doing some of the like fun, just day to day things like painting or watching a funny movie or whatever it may be, but like finding some of those moments of like normalcy, I think can
Yeah.
mean a lot to both the survivor and the caregiver.
Yes.
Mhm. Well, I want to kind of switch gears just a little bit. And I want to talk about, I know I mentioned when I read your bio about how you got connected with other burn survivors. So can you just tell me a little bit more about when the first time you even met another survivor and kind of how you felt in that moment?
Well, I remember I was in the ICU and there was a patient at Shriners. His name is Moy. He's from Tijuana. And I don't remember that much because it was really long time ago. But he was like, "You'll get through this. I know it feels impossible, but you'll get through this." And he showed me his hands and all the compressor garments. And I
Mm.
was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's how I get connected. to another survivor. But years later, it was thanks to a social worker at Shriners. Her name is Gwen. And she was like introducing me to this beautiful community. She was like, you can be a peer supporter. You can get connected to another survivor and talk about, your journey and everything. And I was like, okay. So I remember I talked to a patient. His name was Mike, and he was really sad. And I motivated him. I shared my story. He shared his. And I I remember I was like, oh my God, that's something I really want to do. Talk to other patients and share my story and motivate them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was like 5 years ago.
Go. Mm-hmm. So you had a little time where, then you kind of got connected years later. What was that, just like obviously now you're a trained peer supporter and you volunteer with Phoenix Society, which we will talk more about, but what was it like? Obviously you're offering support, but I think that, sometimes something we don't highlight enough is like the support you can even feel when you're offering support to others and just connecting. So kind of, I guess, why was it important to you to become a peer supporter and help others?
Because it helped me to, I don't want to say like, let me find the words. Okay, yeah. I remember I was really sad, and talking to another survivor, it really helped me to get through all this process too. I was motivating them, but they were motivating me
Hmm.
because I met a lot of survivors that their injury happened like 10, 15 years ago, and I was like newish in this process. So it really helped me, really, really helped me. And I remember I was feeling this passion to share my story and help others to get through all this process like me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So tell me, you are part of our Spanish Phoenix SOAR, which is still a newer program for us, and we're still, building that up. So can you just tell me a little bit more of, how you got connected to, specifically Lily and your involvement with some of our Spanish peer support work that you do?
It was thanks to Gwen, the social worker at Shriners. She
Hmm.
was like, you can connect with a person and she can help you. And yeah, she introduced me to Liliana. And I was like, okay. I was really glad that she speaks Spanish
Hmm.
because, I feel comfortable.
Hmm.
Um, and she explained everything to me, and I was like, okay, I want to do this. And she was like, okay, you can sign these papers, and you can ask Gwen and Shriners to, if you need help, you can ask them. I was like, okay. And yeah, I talked to Gwen, and she was like, okay, you can sign these papers, and you can talk to another patient while you were here. Um, yeah, it was really funny because I was still a patient and I was helping another patient. It was kind of funny. But yeah, I met Lily the first time, I think it was last year. I was in
Hmm.
Shriners in the hospital and she was like, okay, I can go and we can meet. I was like, okay, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I get connected to um Liliana, thanks to Gwen.
Yes, no, that's awesome. And because Liliana is such a, amazing member of the Phoenix Society team. And I really don't know what we would do without her. So I'm so happy you guys got connected. And I always think it's, fun when obviously a lot of the work we do is digital and virtual. And the fact that you guys actually had the opportunity to meet in person and, spend some time together. That's amazing.
Yeah, I also remember we talked about it's really important to share this community and to get connected with other survivors. But in Shriners, um, most people of most of the patients are Mexicans. Yeah.
Mm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
talk about it and we were like, we have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to get connected to another survivor. I've experienced that. So I was like, let's do it. Let's talk to them and let's share this amazing community to, to them, to the Mexican
Mm-hmm.
patients that don't speak English.
Definitely. I know, and I know that is, a really important, I don't want to say like topic, but that's the word that's coming to mind right now for Phoenix Society is, obviously a lot of our programming is only available in English, and like Lily is a huge help with that. And building up our Spanish Phoenix SOAR program is, a big initiative for us because obviously, burns happen to so many around the world, and we want to get better at providing, resources and programs in all different languages. And I did want to ask a little bit more about that earlier, and I kind of forgot about it, but what has that been like for you traveling back and forth from Mexico to Shriners? Are you getting, do you have burn care? Are you getting any treatments in Mexico? Or are you just going to Shriners? Or can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I really liked traveling back and forth. That's amazing. I don't know. I love to travel in the airplane and be everything. I loved everything. I don't receive like a treatment here in Mexico because they're not prepared. They're not,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. Um, but I'm done at Shriners. I'm
Mm-hmm.
21
Mm.
now, and I had my last surgery last year. And yeah, I'm doing really okay right now. But yeah, I don't have any treatment here. Oh, physical therapy. Physical therapy, yeah,
Mm.
because I had a surgery 2 years ago on my hand. This hand was closed like this, was stuck in this position. And I had a surgery and they opened my hand. So I received physical therapy here, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. I know, for me, obviously different, but when I kind of had a little similar experience of um, where I grew up. We did have burn centers, but obviously Shriners is very like, I don't know if this is a true statement, but like best in class for pediatric burn care. And I was fortunate enough to go to Shriners as well. But yeah, you like, it's, we would go, I would have the surgery, but then when I would come home and, Shriners did a great job of like equipping my family with the tools to take to local, physical therapists who may not have experience with burns, but, um, you know, bridging that gap because burn care is so, specialized and niche in, the medical world.
Yeah, Shriners is amazing. Like, I don't know what I would do without them. They
Mm-hmm.
saved me. And here in Mexico, unfortunately, they're not prepared. I
Mm-hmm.
remember, well, I don't remember. My mom told me, um, when my accident happened, the doctors and the nurses were like, she's gonna die. Like,
Mm.
and I was like really scared. Oh, well, I remember when I was um in the emergency area. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's the name of that.
Emergency room. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, when I was in the emergency room, there were like three nurses, and I was like,
Mm.
please save me. I don't want to die, please. I'm really scared. And they were like, you're okay. You'll be okay. Don't worry, you'll be fine. But in the same room, they were like, she's gonna die.
Mm.
And I heard that and I was freaking out.
Of,
I was
of
really, really
course.
scared. I was
Mm-hmm.
really, really scared. And they were like, if she don't die, she would like lost all her limbs. And I
Mm.
was like, okay. I was
Mm-hmm.
really scared. And my mom told me that the doctors told her she's gonna die. She's not making it. She's really burned.
Mm.
And um when they were like okay, you'll be transferred to Shriners in Sacramento. I was like,
It's a
another world.
blessing.
That's another world. That's
Mm-hmm.
another world.
I know.
Everything is completely different there. My mom was really happy. Um, they were like, okay, she'll be okay. We'll do whatever. We'll do whatever. I can do whatever oh my God, I'm sorry.
No. Do not be sorry at all. You're correct. They'll do whatever they need to, I think is what you were
Yes.
trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, they saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really grateful.
Mm-hmm. No, again, my experience isn't the same, but I share the same like gratitude for Shriners and all the work that they do. And I think this really highlights a really important discussion. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but some of our listeners do. We are part of World Burns Week, which happens in the fall every year. And the primary goal of that week is to truly highlight the differences in burn care around the world. And I think this is a really great reminder of the work that still needs to be done. And I know, speaking from my own experience that, I'm very thankful for the experience I had at Shriners and the care I got. But of course, not everyone has that opportunity. Not everyone has access to Shriners or even local burn care. So it's just, I think a really helpful reminder as we're talking about your journey and your story of just, the work on a global scale that still needs to be addressed, especially when it comes to burn care. But I do know that you are now pursuing a degree in psychology because you want to help others. So can you just tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to pursue a degree specifically in psychology?
Yes, I love to share this story because I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor first, and then I was thinking in nursery, but I was like, I can't. I can't because I lost my leg and I'm using an
Hmm.
AFO on my left leg. And I was like, I'm gonna be super tired and in pain. So I
Hmm.
can't. I can't. But I remembered a psychologist helped me. And these emotional scars are real, are completely
Mhm.
real, just as like the physical scars. So I want to help others and treat the invisible scars. Um, I was like, okay, I want to be a psychologist. I'm interested in the clinical field, and I want to work at Shriners and to help another survivor to get through this process that is very difficult and struggling with the um, self-esteem, anxiety, depression, the grief, everything. And I was like, okay, I want to do this, and I'm loving it.
No, that's amazing. So tell us just a little bit more about like where you're going to school, how school is going. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I'm graduating this year, this December. Um, I'm excited. Um, this university is named Universidad Autónoma de Baja California. I'm from Baja California. Um, and well, I am loving everything. Um, Unfortunately, we don't practice a lot.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm doing an internship in a psychiatric hospital here. So I'm practicing and working with patients, real patients.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm loving it. Everything is going really, really well.
Well, congratulations on soon to be graduate. That's very, very exciting. I can remember that feeling of like, it's finally like over and you can like start, really doing what you're passionate about, which is so, so exciting. And I love that obviously, yeah, an internship is personally where I think you learn all the important work, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you're putting what you're living school into practice. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, I'm sure you don't obviously work with burn survivors on the daily. So, how do you, I guess, use your lived experience to help patients, even if maybe they're not a burn survivor?
Um, well, I think that I'm a really empathetic person before and after my injury.
Mm,
But this experience helped me to understand another person that is going through a hard process. Even though it's not a burn survivor, I can feel and I can see, I can feel the pain that they're going through. And of course, my career is helping me to become an empathetic person and being respectful and to understand each other's emotions and feelings. So I think that's it. Yeah,
mm,
being a
mhm,
really empathetic person, that's the key.
mm,
And this
definitely,
experience helped me.
definitely. Do you have any, advice for other survivors who maybe want to explore a career in psychology or any, you know, for example, when I first started college, I wanted to be a physical therapist for similar reasons as you of, you want to give back to this community and get involved. And, I quickly realized that I didn't care about the human body like I thought I did. I just wasn't interested in, those science classes and things like that. So I switched and, now I am fortunate enough to have a role where I'm helping, survivors in the community. So, specifically for survivors who want to get back into, the medical field to help others. Do you have any advice or tips or anything you'd want to share with them?
Well, that's something I think we have in common, that being
Mm-hmm.
interested in the medical field. We want to be doctors, we want to be nurses, we want to be physical therapists, occupational therapists, or psychologists. Um, I think they have to really understand and to explore what they really like,
Mm-hmm.
because we're working with a life, we're working with
Mm-hmm.
a human body. And if they want to get back all the process, if they want to help others, the way um, they receive the help, I mean, you can do that, but you have to explore if you really liked it. If you really
Mhm,
like it, you have to love it. You have to, you know, I think I would say that they have to explore what they really like, and if they're really interested in working with a person that is going through this process, they have to be strong, because
mhm,
they will work with um, the grief, the accident, with everything, the pain, the itching. So they have
mhm,
to embrace it. They have to, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I have to accept that I'm gonna work with this. And this situation specifically, the burn injury and everything, it's really personal to to us as a burn
mhm,
survivor. It's really tough to work with a person that is struggling with all of this. So they have to accept it and to see that they will work with the life.
mhm. No, definitely. Well, I know we are coming up on our time, and I do have two final questions for you. But before I ask you those, I just always like to open it up and see if there's anything else you want to share with our listeners, anything you'd want other survivors to know, or anything like that before we start closing out.
Um, no, honestly. Um, you know what? I want to say that I know that this journey is really difficult. It's really painful, dealing with the itching, depression, anxiety. Um, it feels impossible to get through all of that. It really feels impossible. And we think, I'm not gonna study again. I'm not working again. I won't have friends. I won't have a
Mm.
partner. But you will. You will. And you will be happy. You will get through all of this. It feels impossible, but it's not impossible. And I think I wanted to share that because I don't know.
No, I think that's a really, really great advice and a really great reminder. To both survivors and caregivers who are listening today of, there are days that everything seems impossible, but you aren't alone. Like we mentioned at the beginning, and there is a community here to support you, and when you're ready and need support, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned, we do always ask our guests two final questions. So I'll ask Amber's first. Her question is, if this season of your life had a soundtrack or a song, what would it sound like, or what song would it be?
Oh my God.
I know she is a tough one.
Yeah. That's a difficult one. Oh my God. I think it will be. Oh my God. I'm gonna look for my Spotify. Uh,
It's funny because we ask this question to all of our guests right now, and as many times as I've heard it or I've asked it for Amber, I'm like, if I would get asked that question, I would really be put on the spot, and I wouldn't have something prepared for my response.
so go on.
Mm.
Okay, I think Unstoppable by Sia.
Mm.
I
I
love that
love that
song.
song. I do too. It's a great song. No, that's amazing. We listen to that song at like Phoenix SOAR Burn Congress at our dinner dance, and I feel like that song can resonate with so many survivors. So, it's definitely a good one to pick.
Yeah, I love that song. I really
Yeah,
love that song. And someone told
definitely.
me that's to remind me of you. Someone told me that, and I was like,
Oh,
oh, yay.
no, that's beautiful. There's compliments like that can like really stick with you and really again show how strong you can be. Yeah. Well, it is time for our final question, which today is our Phoenix Partner question sponsored by NFPA. And their question is, what's one message you hope sticks with our listeners after today?
Nothing is impossible. Yeah.
I love it.
I used to say that when I was in the ICU, and when I started PT, OT, I was like, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. I will do
Mm-hmm.
this. I will. And I'm doing it. I remember I couldn't move
You
my
are.
arms, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's impossible. But it's not. I can move my arms and everything. So yeah, nothing is impossible.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ariana, for joining me on the podcast today. And just thank you for all that you do with Phoenix Society and volunteering and giving back. We so appreciate it. And yeah, I loved having you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel, for the invitation and for your patience because I don't speak English at all.
You did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I am just so appreciative that you, especially with school, took the time and willingness to come on the show. So again, just thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do for the community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Girls with Grafts. If you are enjoying this content, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.